In progress. We're learning Parsha Shoftim. Shalom Yochanan. Here we go. Parsha Shoftim. Parsha Shoftim opens up with a very interesting commandment of making courts of justice. At first, you could say, what has this got to do with the Jewish religion? I mean, making courts of justice is a very wonderful thing, and you have to do it. And what's it got to do with religion? I mean, religion is to get you up to God or bring blessings or salvation. Courts of justice, that's talking about people have these monetary laws and damage laws and divorce laws and impure law. That's not nice stuff. Come on. It's not, the religion doesn't deal with that. If you really believe, then you won't have any justice cases, right? You believe and the Lord will take care of everything, right? Wrong. It's not so. In fact, the more you believe in Hashem, the more questions you have and the more direction that you need. And you're really going to be worried about doing anything that's not right. Just how do you say, row your boat down the stream? That's not the way to live your life. Life is not but a dream. The fact of the matter is the courts are very, very necessary. And not only are they necessary, you'll see that the whole land of Israel is just filled. What is this? What in the world is this thing here? There's courts. What's this going on? Why did this thing pop up? How do I get rid of it? Do I get rid of it? Okay. Wow. My thing. Do you ever see this thing? How do I get out of it? Okay, I don't know. Oh, there we go. Okay. Parsha Shoftim. Ready? Shoftim v'shotrim. You must put judges and policemen. I get it. Judges and policemen, you must put B'kol Sharecha at all of your gates. What does it mean, all of your gates? Make judges. What do you mean? You have to put on all of your gates? That God, the gates that God gave you for your tribes. And you should judge the people with a proper judgment. Let's just go through the sentences and then we'll go through the explanations. Lo sateh mishpat, don't twist your opinions. Lo saktir panim, don't be, how do you say, favoritism, no favoritism. Lo sikach shoka, don't take bribes. Because if you take a bribe, it will blind the eyes of the wise. The Torah calls them wise. People that the Torah testifies on them that they're wise, you put a couple of coins in their pocket, a check or something, and he becomes blind. All of a sudden, the wise man cannot see anything but you and how good you are. Be a salif divrei tzadikim, and it twists the words of the righteous. Tzedek tzedek tirdof, run after justice. Why does it say justice, justice? Why 2 times justice? 1 time justice is not enough. We'll see what this means. Justice, justice, tirdof. Run after Laman Tichye, in order that you will live. Yerashta at the Oretz, and you will inherit the land of Israel that God gave to you. Nothing worse than bad judges. In a Shemona Esrei, we have a lot of prayers where we pray for our needs. Heal the sick. Please, God, heal the sick. We have bless the years. I'm just going to. Oh, no, sorry. Here you go. So, bless the years and heal the sick and build Jerusalem. The only one where we say, remove from us mourning and misery is the one about the judges. God, please give us judges like there were before and take away from us misery Why doesn't it say, please, God, heal the sick and take away from us misery? It's terrible misery to be sick or to be poor. Borach Hashanim, right? Bless the years, God, to take away from his misery. No, the only blessing we say take away misery is the judges, because in the way having bad judges is the worst thing. Because a person can be successful and he can be healthy and he can be happy family, everything. And you get one bad judge and he can take everything away from you. 1 second. Take everything away. So it's having a bad judge is the worst thing in the world. You didn't do anything wrong, and the judge says you did something wrong. What happens? Put you in jail for the rest of your life? For what? No reason. Somebody else wants your property. So that he gives the judge $1 million. So that the judge finds something, some crime you did. It puts the person in jail. So that's why the judges, the worst. Bad judges is the worst thing. So I want to look at this book, which is called Mitzvot Hashem. We'll take a look there in 1 second. Just let's, Shoftim v'Shotrim, judges and policemen. What do you have to have policemen for? The commandment is to pick judges. So we're gonna see Rashi. Also, the Orach Chaim brings up that if there's no policeman, then there's no judges, because the judge makes his decisions, and everybody says, "Who are you?" I heard somebody said that the judge says to be a Jewish judge, that the hard thing about being a Jewish judge is not to take money away from somebody. If somebody comes to me, right, there's the shofet, a judge, a rabbi, says if somebody comes to me with this cow and I tell him that this cow is not kosher and he loses for $2,000-$3,000, so he accepts it. But if two people come and they're arguing over $10, and I say that one of them is right and the other one is wrong, then the one who was wrong, it's not that he minds losing the $10. He can't stand to see the other guy win. And that's when you get into trouble, because judges can be threatened. Judges can be coerced. Judges can be bribed. And you can bribe a judge not just with money, but with a job, with position, with fame. Come on, you're going to die. Nobody's going to know who you are. You're going to make a name for yourself. You'll be famous. You'll be a leader. You'll be a big shot. You'll have your picture in everybody's house. All you have to do is just find me innocent. Oh, don't worry, I can take care of it. I have big friends in the government. I have friends all over the place. You will be famous. Right? The judge says, you don't have to bribe me. I'm beginning to see things your way. I think you're innocent. Shoftim v'shotrim titen lecha. You have to put judges. They say that this was always written in the beginning. We always read this in the beginning of Elul, the month of Elul, because it's saying that everyone has to put a judge and a policeman, v'kol sharecha, and all of your gates. What are your gates? The gates to your soul. What are the gates to your soul? How you connect to the outer world. Your eyes, it's 2 gates. Your ears, 2 more gates. Even smell, right? Your mouth, all of the gates, your senses, you have to put judgment on them. You have to judge, make sure that you're following the Creator. You're not just doing what you want. You have to put in all of your gates. Let's see what Rashi says, and then we're going to go to this book, Mitzvot Hashem. Shoftim v'shotim. Shoftim, what are shoftim? Those are the dayanim. Those are the judges. They say the law. Or the shotrim, those are the policemen. Arodim esa'am, achar mitzvosam. They are forcing the people to do the commandments. Shemakin, the koftim, the makel, the baratzua, that they hit and they force people with clubs and with whips. Oh, that's the police. Love at the din v'shofet, until nowadays people accept the law. Would be is that a good thing? I think it's a good thing. The judge comes along and says, listen, it's forbidden to smoke a cigarette on Shabbos. Says, okay, Your Honor, jump in the lake. You're not going to tell me what to do. The judge says, you're right. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But Shmerel all of a sudden comes out, Shmerel, the policeman, weighs 350 pounds, got muscles, places you wouldn't believe. And he has a big baseball bat. And he says, Your Honor, I agree with you 100%. I was just joking around. No more smoking for me, Your Honor. Not on Shabbos. That's why you have to have a policeman as well. You have to put the B'chol Sharecha, B'chol Ir in every single city. Ubishvatecha for your tribe. Musav al titen lecha. You have to put judges and policemen on all of your tribes, and in every one of your tribes that God, I'm sorry, you have to put children, you have to put on the tribes and all of the gates that God has given you. So the Ramban says that it could be sometimes that one city is owned by two tribes, like Jerusalem, it says, was jointly owned by Benjamin and Yehuda. In any case, you have to make a lot of courts. The Jewish people really want to know what's right. Ideally, you have to put people who really, rabbis who really know the Torah. That means you have to have judges for every tribe, 12 tribes, called Ir in every city as well. And judge the people properly, namely mumchim v'tzadikim. You have to appoint righteous judges that they will judge properly. Now, this is very, very important in Judaism. Very, very important. To know the law is very difficult. You have to know what the law is. That's the way God wanted it. And God made a lot of laws in order that we can come close to him. Just like in a human being, there's a lot of limbs, a lot of arteries, a lot of blood vessels, a lot of nerves, and all these things are in order to keep a person alive, right? You can go to the doctor and say, God, doctor, I'd like you to make me a little more simple. Take out all these blood vessels and these, maybe, 2 or 3. And nerves, you can leave 4, you know what? 5 nerves, that's good enough. Well, that's ridiculous. Who would say a thing like that? So that's the living Torah is living because it's very complicated. But in order to make the thing work properly, so you have to have proper judges to say what the Torah is. Now let's look at this very interesting here. No, it's not here. There's a book, right, called Mitzvot Hashem, the commandments of God. We did this last time. The commandments of God. Each and every the reading portion of the Torah has a number of commandments there. There are some portions in the Torah that don't have any commandments. But here we have the commandments. Ready? So in this week's Torah portion, there are 38 commandments. 38 commandments in this week's Torah portion. 27 of them are prohibitions, and 11 of them are active commandments, things you have to do. So you have 11, it's called positive commandments, 11 things you must do. And then there's 27 things you have to keep away from. Be careful not to do. So let's look at a couple of them. Mainly, I want to look at the second one. Here we go. The first one. Mitzvah, it's a positive commandment. Limanot, to appoint. Shoftim, judges. Ladun, ladun, to judge. Lamid shotrim, and also to put the policeman, the kafot lividot makel, to force people and to rule over them by force. And also to establish the Jewish religion. Al pi shoftim, according to the judges. So the judges say what you have to do, and the shoftim, the police, they enforce it. That's what it says. Shoftim v'shoftim titen lecha. All right, now let's go into a few details. We haven't been going into details. Details in these commandments up to now, but in this time we will. Mitachil in the beginning. Kovim Beit Din Agorol. First of all, we make the high court in the Holy Temple. There are three types of courts. There's three types of courts. Maybe you consider this four, but let's say three types of courts. One court is the court of 71. Another one is 23, and another one is 3. And then sometimes you can have a yachid mumche, sometimes you can have a big expert that he can judge. But generally speaking, you have 3 official types of Beis Din. You have what's called Beis Din Agadol, that's in the Holy Temple. In like sort of the outer court there called Lishkat Gazit. And this is 71 rabbis, Shnei Amar, 71 judges. Like it says by Moses. Remember over there it was in Parshat Pinchas? God tells Moses, you're going to be leaving. You're not going to take the Jewish people into Israel. So Moses says, well, who's going to judge them? Says, Asfali Shivim Ish. So God said, gather to me 70 men, and Moshe Rabbeinu was on top of them. So if so, 71. Since then, there's been this thing of the big Beit Din grand court. There's 71 people. In these 71 people, there's also that's also organized according to their status. Haggadah Shabbat, the leader of this 71-man court that was in the outer courtyard of the Holy Temple. The head of that was called Rosh Yeshiva. He was also called the Nasi. That was the Nasi. The Nasi, he was the head of the Sanhedrin. Mishu Gadol Acharav, and the one that's second in charge. Yoshe B'Yamina sits on his right hand side. This is called the Av Beis Din. And the person who was third, and he sits to his left. Smallish al Nasi, to the left of the Nasi. And after him, behind him, sits all these other people. So you have 69 more, 71, 68 more. You have 71 judges, I'm sorry. This is what's called the High Court, and the Av Beis Din and the Nasi and the Av Beis Din. The Nasi is number one, and the Av Beis Din is the second. They sit in the middle, and then there's like a sea. They sit in the shape of a sea, like a half a moon, it says, around them so that everybody can see everybody else. That is the big court of 71 people. Then the Shtei Beit Din, there's two more courts in the grounds of the Holy Temple. Each one of them has 23 people in it. The Nikram, that's called Sanhedrin Katana, that's called a small Sanhedrin. One is at the entrance of the Azara, and one of them is at the entrance of the Har HaBayit. Remember, we had pictures we drew. Okay, that's in Jerusalem, but Jerusalem is far away. So to make things a little bit easier, in every single city in Israel, Sheyesh Bo Kafchat Ish, that has 120 men above the age of 13, or more than 120, and they have 2 wise men. Echad Roy Lamed B'Kol Torah, one is fit to teach in the whole Torah. Echad Roy Lishmoa, and one is fit to listen to the complaints, to the claims of the 2 litigants, and he can sort of clarify things. Every single city that has 120 men, and among them are 2 wise men, that we make a court of 23 people. And it's pretty strange. I mean, the whole entire city is 120 people, and 23 of them are going to be the judges. The Ir She'ein Bo Kavches, but a city that does not have 120 people, so they have a court of 3 people. Who can be a judge? Who can be a judge? Now, this is where all the Gemara comes from, and the laws. This is passed down like from Hillel. Hillel was the end of the first temple. So this was passed down. The laws and things that were made, these were passed down. That's the commandment here. You're not allowed to go against the rabbis. The rabbis are ultimate importance in Judaism. Ultimate importance in Judaism. That's what this Torah portion is saying. You have to have courts. You can't have a judge in the Sanhedrin, whether it's the big Sanhedrin of 71 people or the small Sanhedrin of 120 people. But anashim chachamim v'navonim. With 3 people, you can have even 3 ordinary people. If the 2 litigants say that's all right. So, but the big Beis Din, the one of 71 and the one of 23, it has to have chachamim, navonim, people that understand. They understand the Torah, the whole Torah. They know a little bit of other types of wisdom, witchcraft, astrology. They have to know what's going on in the world, these people. Ve'en ma'amidim b'Sanhedrin elam yuchasim aroim l'hasiyan lakuna. Only people you can be are people that for sure you know that they are Jewish, of course, and also that they're not what's called a halal. A halal is someone that's born from a, there's several things that make a person a halal, but generally a halal is a person that's born from a relationship which a Kohen is not allowed to have. For instance, a Kohen gets married to a divorcee. So a woman, divorcee, the child is called a halal. The child, the Kohen, his father's a Kohen, so he's a Kohen, but his mother, he shouldn't have married her, it's called a halal. So this son, now he wants to go and marry into a Kohen's family, so you have to be careful because it's called a halal. So therefore it should be, that's talking about way back then, it's not now, in the time of the Holy Temple. Ve'en ma'amidim Sanhedrin lo zaken muflag v'lo saris. You're not allowed to have a judge, not someone who's too old, because people are old, they get mean, and v'lo saris, and not a person who is castrated. Metzorich in the Sanhedrin lios menukim mikol mum. It has to be that they have no blemishes, not spiritual, not physical blemishes. V'tzorich lechapes shiakulam bale seva. They have to be mature, bali koma, people that are respected, bali mar'eh. They also look good. Their appearance is one that gives a feeling of how do you say, austerity to the litigants. So the litigants will be afraid to stand in front of them in line. The nevune lachash, they have to understand the world. And they have to know a lot of different languages so that they don't hear from a translator, they hear directly from the people themselves. But that's all called, that's the big, it's called the Beit Din HaGadol, the Beit Din HaKatan, of 71 people and 23 people. But a judge, a court, which is only 3 people, you don't have to have all these. The 3 people court don't have to be wise men, etc. It just has to be that you accept them. If you accept them. Al Kolpani, they have to know each one man, Zayin Devorim, but they do have to have 7 things. They don't have to be we don't have to be as strict with them to count them as in the court of 23. But nevertheless, that you can't just take any person off the street that has a beard and say, you be a judge. They have to have 7 qualifications: wisdom, humility, fear of God, hatred of money, loving the truth, loving people. They want to do what's best for everybody. And there's even the punishments they give, the punishments are ideally only to get a person to stop doing bad things. And therefore, Bali Shem Tov, Abriya Lion, Bali Shem Tov, people that have good reputations. and they have to have love amitz. They have to be brave. Lasil oshik, to save money that was taken illegally. Oshik, there's a word for it in English. What's oshik is what's that? Oh, sorry, ashuk, to save the unfortunate, those who have been, let me say, the ones who were robbed. Miad oshko, from those who oppress. Save the oppressed from the oppressors. Now, usually the way it goes is the oppressed are weak and the oppressors are strong. For some reason, God decided to make it that way. Why doesn't he make the people that are oppressed big and strong, and the oppressors are like weak people that they can't lift up a gun or a knife? Then it would be easy for the judges to do, but that's not the way God made it. God made it that the meek, simple people, so they are always the losers. And the strong, right, the vicious people, they're the winners. They're the winners because they're strong and everybody's afraid of them. So it says the only one that's standing between this, robber, and you as the judge. So the judge looks at the eyes of this person, and it looks like, the angel of death is looking at him. So it's very scary. So he says that's where the judge has to be brave in order to take money from the weak from the strong ones that are robbing him. Even though she based in pachos mishlos, mutar Torah, even though that a judge, a court case that's less than 3 cannot really judge monetary cases until there are 3. You have to have 3. 2 of the judge. 2 of the judge is not good. But nevertheless, one judge, that he is an expert, or the 3 judges, even though they're not super qualified, like the big courts are, but they go to the big court and they get permission. It's permission. They are allowed to judge even if there's less than 3, even one person. It's just not called a beis din. Also, there's a law which a beis din has to be smuchim, and smuchim means that from Moses picked all these judges, and they anointed other judges, and those judges anointed other judges. So it should have kept on going on. So, but thank God we do have judges today that are God-fearing and that know what they're talking about. It's a very interesting thing that's in Judaism, to have judges. And that's what this Torah portion is talking about. Have judges. Let's go back to our Torah portion. We can do a couple more commandments if you want, but that's not dealing with the judges. You're not allowed to plant an idol worship tree in the holy temple, like it says, Lo sita lecha asherah kol eitz. If you plant one in the holy temple, then you are beaten. Lashes is the punishment. There's other things which are included in that. A negative commandment, not to sacrifice a blemished animal in the temple. 2 more commandments. A positive commandment, to follow the orders of the Beit Din Gadol. If the Grand Court of 71, if they say anything, you must do it. Like it says, that whatever you're told. Here we have the idea of the rabbis, right? That's the rabbis are the essence of Judaism. What is right, what is wrong? The rabbis are the ones that sit and decide. You cannot decide on your own. And a negative commandment, you're not allowed to disobey the words what the great court says. It says, Lo sasura davar asher yagid lecha. Whatever they say, you must do. Anyone who believes in Moshe Rabbeinu and his Torah, he must chayav lismoch ma'aseh adat al piyam. You must follow everything religious according to what the rabbis say. To rely on them. So that's the whole importance of shoftim and shotrim. Now, this talks about the judges. You have to listen to what the judges say. We're going to see later on that the same thing is prophet with a prophet. Okay, let's do a couple more of the commandments here and then go back to the text. It's a positive commandment to appoint. Where's the pointer? Oh, there it is. Positive commandment. It is a positive commandment to appoint a king. Sum tasim alechem melech. It's also a commandment, a negative commandment, not to appoint a king that is not a Jew. Like it says, lo tuchal, it could be that a Jew could be converted, but his wasn't born a Jew, must be born a Jew. You cannot put ish nachriya shalochichu. Even if he's a convert, even after many generations, but you find out, the king, did you know his mother and father weren't Jewish? I didn't know that. What are you talking about? I know his mother and father. I didn't mean his mother and father. I meant his grandmother, grandfather. They weren't Jewish. Wow, I didn't know that. Somebody pipes in and says, what are you talking about? I know his grandmother, grandfather. They're just as Jewish as you are. I said, no, I didn't mean his great-grandparents. They're not Jewish. He's a Jew 100%, but he can't be a king. Okay, let's do 3 more commandments. A negative commandment, the king should not have too many horses. Kings like horses for some reason. I don't know, I guess that's one of the signs that I'm not a king, because I do nothing against horses, man. So I can't say my best friends are horses, but I do nothing against horses. Nevertheless, kings do like horses. So it says he's not allowed to increase too many horses, only what he needs for riding. A negative commandment, the king should not have too many wives. He can only have 18 wives together with what's called the pilagshim. Pilagshim are wives that he has without a marriage certificate. A negative commandment, the king cannot have too much money. Forbidden for the king to have too much money. It'll drive him crazy. And one more commandment about the king. The king has to write for himself a Sefer Torah. He has to write a special Sefer Torah for himself. I have it written. Even if his forefathers, his father, also had to have a Sefer Torah. He left him one, doesn't make any difference. He has to write one for himself. Let's go back to the text. There you go. Here we have Shoftim v'Shotrim, judges and policemen you should put in all of your gates that God has given to your tribes, and they should judge the people mishpat tzedek, a righteous and a just law. Of course they have to judge us. What's it telling us that for? Obviously, you can make judges and they can do what they want to. Of course not. It's superfluous to tell us that the judges should judge a mishpat tzedek. It says it's not so simple. Listen to this. It says, sorry, I'm trying to find here. What does it mean, mishpat tzedek, says the Or HaChaim? It doesn't say b'tzedek tishpat emitecha or something. What does it mean, mishpat tzedek? So it says here, there's a very, very important lesson. What does it mean? It says you're supposed to, what does it say? What's the sentence say? You must judge the people mishpat tzedek, a just law. Says the Or HaChaim, listen to what this is saying, something very important. When you're a judge, when you want to stand up a judge for a court case to judge people. They have some sort of a argument. So this is how the judge should judge. He should, first of all, go over all of the topics of the case and not to think about people. Just think about what is the law, right? If somebody comes in, I don't know who that somebody is, he comes in and he says, I give you my shoes to shine, and you shine one shoe brown and one shoe black. What's the law? So a normal person will say, well, it depends sort of whose shoes they are. I mean, if it's the king's shoes or the duke's shoes or somebody, really rich, his shoes, come on, what's the big deal about shoes? So I'll say that he's guilty, and then he pays the shoes, big deal. Or maybe I'll say the opposite. Maybe if a person like this is so important, shoes, in any case, says that's what you should do. You're a judge, don't think about people, no personalities. First of all, think about the law. Lo yalbish masav matan halachos sheyasa anashim. Don't think about the arguments that the people make. Lay more to say, kafi zeh yitchayev, according to what he said, then he must be guilty. And according kafi zeh yahipach ella yase iyuno v'tzedadi halachot, but he should look into it as though there are no people. Theoretical. Ella lavod al din. I'm just going over the law. And after you understand what the law is very clearly and what the sides are, then after that, try to apply what you've learned to these people. Make the innocent innocent and the guilty guilty. That's what it says. What does it mean at the Am Kavaro? It says that you should judge the people a just decision, because you made the just decision before. You made it abstractly. You judged already to yourself, that this is the way the law is, right? Like in Baba Basra, two people coming in, they're grabbing onto a talus, each one's, what's the law? It says the law is like this. All of a sudden you come in and one of the person, exactly the same case you just finished learning. You're supposed to divide it down the middle. But now with the people that are coming, this is your next door neighbor that you hate him. And the other one is your best friend's mother. Your best friend's mother, simple old lady, right? The fact of the matter is she's a big thief. She stole the money from the big guy. But you see the big guy, you hate him, can't stand him. So therefore, as soon as you see him, then you see red and you find the guy guilty. You're not allowed to do that. That's forbidden. So he says, therefore, what you should do is forget who the litigants are. Think only about what the law is and then what the decision is. Now apply it to the people. But except for this, when a person thinks in his mind, when the people come to judge in front of him, I'll call upon him. One of them will explain a little bit better. Maybe one of them knows your aunt. Maybe one of them is your next door neighbor. Is one of your customers, or he knows one of your customers. Then there won't be a just law. And especially if it's one of these judgments that you have to shikul adat, when you have to think deeply, decide on your own. It's a case that's not exactly covered in the Torah, something like this, but there's all these mitigating circumstances. Therefore, you have to not get personal. As soon as you do, then you won't be having a proper judge. Here's the Or HaChaim. It says, Shoftim v'shoftim titen. Who's it saying you should put judges? Who's supposed to put the judge? It doesn't say all the Jewish people. It says you should put a singular person. It says this sentence is talking to the person who's got the power to appoint judges. That they should be, when these judges, in order to pick the judges, so you're the one that picks them, you have to be careful that the judges themselves, they don't flatter you, give you a little bit of, bribery. And if that you judge, you make a judgment properly, and you try to find a judge that has no benefit to you, it's just that you know is going to benefit the people, then you can be sure that he'll make proper judgments. Because if he doesn't, one person, if he doesn't try to how do you say, to flatter you, in other words, he's worried about what you think, right? If he's not worried about what you think, and you're just one person, he's not worried about what you think, he's not going to be worried about what the people think either. Therefore, it says, judge the people. You should judge properly. When you're finding yourself a judge, be careful to find a proper judge. Here it says, V'shaftu et ha'am, you should judge the people. That what it says, the people, it says this refers to rich people. There's a, over there with Rashi says, the rich people, that's the, no, I'm sorry, here he says different. That was a different place. Okay. Ha'am, here he says, means the evil people, Rashayim. You should judge the guilty ones, the evil people, you should judge them justly. What does that mean? So it says in Pirkei Avos that when the two litigants stand in front of you, you should look at them both like they're guilty. Before it starts off, you treat each one of them that he's a liar. You start asking him questions, right? You haven't just made your decision yet, because there's two litigants, and both of them, you say both of them could be wrong. Maybe he's lying about him, or maybe he's lying about him. You don't know, but you suppose that both of them are lying, and therefore you ask them questions. If so, then how could it be like this? Just a minute ago you said this. How can you be saying like this, like that? Therefore, it says, Shaftu at the Am, Mishpat Tzedek. You have to judge. The Am means the evil people. When you judge a person, when they come in front of you, you have to look at them as though he's already guilty. And now you're starting to ask questions to see if your judgment is right. But after you've made your decision, that's exactly the opposite. You look at both of them like they are tzaddikim, especially when the one accepted on himself the judgment. Another one is shoftim v'shoftim titen lecha. This doesn't say lecha. It's talking about each person. Judges and policemen you should make for yourself. Means what? Fix yourself up first, and then you can then you can judge the people. Ki kol dayanim, the mafkin minei memona medina lav dayanu, because any judge that he has to pay from his own pocket, in other words, that he makes mistakes, he's not really a judge. He's not really a true judge. A true judge is a person that he knows clearly how to judge the case. He's not thinking about personalities, not thinking about who's poor, not thinking about who's rich. He judges the case as it comes in front of him. That's a true judge. How do you get someone like that? So the judge, first of all, has to judge himself, as we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Thank you very much. Come 8:30 tomorrow morning, there will be a class in Hasidus, Lekuti Torah we're learning, and also in Devar Malchut. Have a good day with Mashiach now.